While you were sleeping, Snowflake investors just made a fortune.
Some chatter about a pretty incredible surge, and maybe you were left wondering, okay, what exactly just happened there? Because let's be honest, the amount of information flying around can feel pretty overwhelming sometimes, right? You want to know what's really going on, but who's got the time to actually dig through all those dense reports? Well, that is precisely why we're here. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to take a really close look at why Snowflake Inc., that's ticker symbol SNOW, why it saw such a massive jump in its stock price recently. We'll unpack their latest financial results and kind of explore where they fit strategically in this, well, booming AI market. Our mission really is to pull out the key nuggets of knowledge from all the latest reports to help you understand what's really driving this and, importantly, why it matters for your understanding of the tech landscape. All right, let's get into it then. Snowflake. An incredible moment for them in the market. Stock just soared. But what actually caused that big jump?
And maybe more importantly, what's it telling us about the bigger picture in tech right now? Okay, so here's where this story gets really interesting because the numbers driving this, they're pretty eye-opening. Snowflake saw this, remarkable surge, over 18% in after-hours trading. And this all happened on August 27th, 2025, right after they released their Q2 earnings for fiscal 2026. This wasn't just some small bump either. It was a really significant leap. Got everyone's attention, basically. Let's talk specifics for a second. Their total revenue, it hit $1.14 billion. Now, that's a really substantial 31.8% increase compared to last year. And it comfortably beat what analysts were expecting. They were thinking more like $1.09 billion. But the core of their business, the product revenue, that also did great. It reached $1.09 billion, which is up 32% year over year. That beat expectations by about, $51 million? Pretty solid beat there. And then there's the adjusted earnings per share, the EPS, also really impressive. Their adjusted EPS landed at $0.35. Now, that's way higher than the consensus estimate, which was around $0.27.
And get this, it's nearly double the $1.18 they reported in the same quarter last year. That works out to a 42.6% beat.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Yeah, what's really fascinating here, I think, is just how comprehensively Snowflake beat those expectations. It wasn't, just one metric looking good. It was strong performance right across the board, from top-line revenue, product revenue, all the way down to the earnings per share. And that immediately signals, really robust operational execution. It tells investors there's underlying financial health here. It's not just some kind of one-off lucky quarter. When a company consistently delivers like that across all the key indicators, that builds a really powerful story, a story of sustained growth, efficiency, and that's what really resonates with the market.
Absolutely. I mean, those numbers are undeniably strong. But you often hear about companies beating estimates for one quarter, and then maybe they, fizzle out a bit later.
Yeah.
What makes this Snowflake beat different? Is there something deeper going on here beyond just the raw financial figures?
That's a really crucial question. And yeah, I think what stands out isn't just that they beat the numbers, but how they managed it. A huge part of this stock surge is definitely being attributed to Snowflake's, incredibly successful integration of artificial intelligence capabilities into their platform. It's not just some tacked-on feature. AI is really acting as a powerful sort of fundamental catalyst for their core business. It's driving growth. It's driving adoption.
Right. And we're not just talking about AI in theory here, are we? We're seeing tangible, widespread adoption happening. Their CEO, Sridhar Ramaswamy, he actually highlighted that over 6,100 accounts are now actively using Snowflake's AI tools every single week. That's a pretty clear sign of strong platform adoption, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shows how integral AI is becoming for their customers. You can almost picture the data scientists breathing a sigh of relief, thinking, okay, we don't have to build all this AI plumbing from scratch.
Exactly. And it gets better. They also added 48 new clients who are now spending over $1 million a year in product revenue. That's significant.
Wow, 48 new $1 million accounts.
Yeah, and that brings their total number of those high-value customers up to 654. Those are customers with over $1 million in product revenue in the last 12 months. That total number is up 30% from the previous year.
A 30% jump in those big spenders.
Yeah. And here's another kicker. AI is now influencing nearly half, almost 50% of their new customer acquisitions.
Half influenced by AI.
That's what they're reporting. Plus, over half of their entire customer base is now using Snowflake's Cortex AI and Snowpark platforms. So like you said, these aren't just features. They're becoming core drivers of business expansion for Snowflake.
Okay, so connecting this to the bigger picture then.
Well, if we do that, These numbers really show AI isn't just some buzzword for Snowflake, right? It's become fundamental. It's a core driver of their business model, their customer expansion strategy. And what's really insightful is how they're capturing this market share. They're focusing on making their customers' own proprietary data actionable for AI. That's a massive pain point that, generic off-the-shelf AI models just can't solve.
Right, because every company's data is unique.
Exactly. So they're effectively becoming this kind of secure, data agnostic Switzerland, if you will, for enterprise AI. That really sets them apart from the big cloud platform players who might push their own AI tools more heavily. And this positions them as a key player in what's projected to be a, $155 billion AI software market.
$155 billion. Wow.
Yeah. So it indicates they're capturing a really significant and growing piece of a vital tech wave by basically becoming indispensable.
Okay, indispensable in a $155 billion market. That's quite a position to be in. And their strategy sounds smart, that sort of neutral ground approach. But it wasn't just the current performance that got investors buzzing, was it? It was also what Snowflake is saying about the future. Their guidance, their outlook, that seemed to really boost confidence too. They didn't just say, we did well. They said, we expect to keep doing well.
Precisely. They didn't just meet expectations for the quarter, they confidently raised their sights for what's coming next.
They raised their full fiscal 2026 product revenue guidance to $4.40 billion. That represents, 27% year-over-year growth? And that's up from their previous forecast, which was $4.33 billion. So, decent bump up. And for the next quarter, Q3, they're projecting product revenue between $1.125 billion and $1.130 billion, which, again, tops what Wall Street was expecting, around $1.12 billion. So, yeah, they're basically saying, we did great, and here's the plan. We're going to continue doing great.
Right. And that optimism isn't just talk. It seems backed up by some serious customer loyalty and long-term demand indicators.
Yeah, like that net revenue retention rate. It came in at an impressive 125%. Which, just to clarify for listeners, means that their existing customers aren't just staying put.
No, they're spending more.
Exactly. They're significantly increasing their spending with Snowflake over time, growing their value.
Which is a fantastic sign.
And the remaining performance obligations, the RPO, that's basically future revenue they already have under contract.
Future locked-in business.
That reached $6.9 billion, which is a 33% jump from the same time last year.
Yeah, 33% gain there. That really underscores strong long-term demand for what they're offering. It's not just fleeting interest.
So putting it all together, what does this really mean for their future prospects? It sounds like they're not just performing well now. They're pretty confident they'll keep growing at a healthy clip. And their customers seem to be confirming that with, bigger spending and longer commitments. But hang on. In this space, cloud, AI, it's fiercely competitive, isn't it? Are there any, red flags we should maybe keep an eye on? What about new companies jumping in, or maybe shifts in what the big cloud providers are doing? Could that challenge this stickiness?
That's a very fair point to raise. I mean, while that 125% net revenue retention and the 33% jump in RPO are, they're not just good numbers. They're powerful signals, really. Affirmations of a sustainable business model, strong product market fit. It suggests Snowflake is deeply embedded in their clients' operations.
Making it harder to switch out.
Exactly. It makes their platform incredibly sticky, much harder to just rip out and replace. Now, the competitive landscape is definitely intense, no question. But Snowflake's whole cloud-agnostic approach, plus that focus on helping customers use their own data for AI, that acts as a pretty significant moat, I think. It gives customers flexibility, control things that maybe a single cloud vendor can't always match quite as easily. So yeah, while you always need to be watchful, those metrics suggest they're actually pretty well fortified against immediate competitive threats right now.
Right, well fortified. Okay. And it's clear it's not just the market insiders, the analysts paying attention. This kind of performance, it spills over, doesn't it, into the public consciousness. You mentioned Google Trends data, which often does correlate pretty strongly with stock market buzz and volatility. That data showed a massive spike in searches for Snowflake stock. Why are suddenly so many regular people curious about, let's face it, what used to be seen as a fairly niche data warehousing company?
Well, it clearly reflects that heightened investor interest right after the earnings, but also, I think, a broader public fascination with their AI growth story. AI is just hot right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this amplified by the analysts too, right? The endorsements are rolling in.
Yeah.
After these strong earnings, multiple analysts went ahead and upgraded their price targets for S&OW.
Yep.
Bank of America, for instance, they upgraded Snowflake from neutral all the way to buy, slapped a $240 price target on it. And Piper Sandler, They issued an even more ambitious hike, up to $285. That represents, I think, a new street high target for the stock.
Wow. $285. That's bullish.
Yeah. And when the experts start raising their targets like that, it just sends this really clear signal of growing confidence, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And from a technical chart perspective, too, the stock itself had a really notable breakout.
Ah, right. The chart action.
Yeah, it hit a new 52-week high, $233.34 right after that earnings announcement. The shares actually gapped up way above key moving averages.
Those trend lines that traders watch so closely for momentum.
Exactly those. And it even pushed into what traders call overbought territory on some technical indicators.
Which often signals maybe a bit of a buying frenzy, potentially unsustainable in the very short term, but definitely shows intense interest.
Right. It signals really strong upward momentum in the near term, and that kind of action, well, it just attracts even more attention from traders.
So it's not just about the numbers in the financial reports then.
Not at all. It's also very much about the market's psychological response. Those analyst upgrades, the technical breakout, they create this powerful positive feedback loop. Analysts raise targets, which validates the story for big institutional investors.
Okay.
Then the technical breakout pulls in the momentum traders, maybe even individual investors who just see the stock making headlines.
Right. Everyone jumps on board.
Kind of. And this combined effect just draws even more attention, fuels more interest, and often leads to that wider public discussion, hence, the spike you saw in Google searches. It's really a classic example of how positive news can just cascade through all the different layers of the market.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic to watch unfold. And like we said, this isn't happening in some kind of vacuum, is it? Snowflake's success story, it really fits into this much larger narrative about enterprise tech and, of course, AI.
Definitely.
That cloud-agnostic platform they have is a huge piece of this. It lets companies host and manage their AI models from different cloud providers. Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud.
All in one place.
All in one centralized environment. And that strategically positions them perfectly, like right in the middle of the AI infrastructure stack. It makes them almost a foundational layer if you want to do multi-cloud AI. We even saw, I think you mentioned, their Azure business specifically grew 40% year over year in Q2.
That's right. 40% growth on Azure workloads highlights that broad appeal across different clouds.
Yeah. And beyond just providing the platform, they're actively focused on helping companies use their own data, their proprietary data, to deploy their own AI agents.
Which is critical.
Absolutely critical, because so many companies right now are running trials with these, autonomous, goal-driven AI agents, and having a secure, efficient way to actually leverage their unique internal data. That's a total game changer for them. It unlocks completely new possibilities.
It really does. That's where the unique value is created.
Okay, but we do need to touch on valuation, because that's always a key piece of the puzzle for investors. Snowflake, it definitely carries a premium valuation. Its forward price to sales ratio is, 14.76x?
Yeah, around that.
Compared to an industry average that's closer to 5.7x. So, yeah, it's certainly valued highly by the market.
No question, it's trading at a premium on that metric.
Is that premium actually justified by its strategic position, its growth prospects, or should that be maybe a point of concern for people looking at the longer term?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe $1 billion in this case. Look, while the valuation definitely appears high on some of those traditional metrics like price to sales, when you look at it maybe through a different lens, say free cash flow generation, or you consider that overwhelming analyst sentiment.
Right, you said something like almost 90% rated a strong buy.
Exactly. When you factor that in, it really suggests Wall Street believes in sustained high growth and strong future cash generation from Snowflake, not just, short-term hype. Analysts are clearly pricing in Snowflake's strategic positioning in AI infrastructure, its critical role in helping companies actually use their proprietary data. These are seen as really strong long-term growth drivers that, yes, can arguably justify a premium valuation. It reflects a deep confidence in their market leadership and just how essential their offering is becoming for this whole AI era.
Okay, that's a really crucial distinction to make. So let's try and quickly recap the key takeaways from this deep dive then. We had Snowflake's really outstanding Q2 results, driven in large part by its pivotal and growing role in AI adoption.
Strong numbers, AI fueled.
Right. Then strong future guidance, which was backed up by some really impressive customer retention numbers.
Yeah, the 125% NRR and that big RPO jump.
Exactly. And finally, the market's really enthusiastic response, fueled by those analyst upgrades and the technical breakout we discussed.
Positive feedback loop in action.
It really is a multifaceted success story, isn't it? And seems deeply rooted in the future of how enterprises handle their data.
I think that's fair to say.
And Snowflake's story, it really seems to represent this broader theme we're seeing everywhere. Data modernization, AI adoption. These are fundamentally driving huge investments in enterprise tech across the board. As companies rely more and more on data-driven AI to, transform their businesses, platforms like Snowflake's just become increasingly essential to their whole digital transformation strategy.
They become part of the core infrastructure.
So what this really means for your understanding of the market, listening to this, is that Snowflake offers this really compelling case study on where those big investments in AI infrastructure are actually landing. And it highlights what specific capabilities like making proprietary data AI ready are becoming basically non-negotiable for businesses going forward.
Absolutely. It shows what's becoming table stakes.
Yeah. And maybe here's something to think about as we wrap up. If companies like Snowflake's customers are now using AI to influence almost half of their new customer acquisitions, and platforms like Google Discover, where content about trending stocks often surfaces, reach over 800 million users every month, what does that convergence tell us about the future? The future of how all businesses might acquire customers. And maybe even more profoundly, how all of us will discover information and make decisions in the years ahead as AI gets woven deeper and deeper into, pretty much every facet of our digital lives.
That's a big thought to chew on. The future of discovery itself.
Definitely something to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope it gave you some fascinating insights into the Snowflake story and maybe encourage you to keep exploring these incredibly important topics that are shaping our world right now.